So Jorrel Hato could be on his way to Stamford Bridge. And as we've done so far on the show this summer, whenever Chelsea are getting close to signing someone, I like to bring on a guest with a lot of expertise around the player to give some more depth, knowledge and thoughts and feelings about the potential move and what Chelsea could be getting. And that is no different today in regards to Hato with Michael Statham, a Eredivisie expert from Football Orange who's appeared on Sky, BBC and other media outlets to speak about Dutch football, and great to have him on the show today. We talk about the player, we speak about his potential suitability for Chelsea and making a move at this stage of his career, what he could develop into, some of his strengths, weaknesses, all of that good stuff, and a sneaky question about another Dutch player Chelsea are linked to at the end of the show. So I hope you do enjoy. Let's get to the convo right now. So thank you so much, Michael, for joining me today. The first thing I want to ask is kind of instant reaction to the news and the belief now that Hato is set to become a Chelsea player, or at least we're in advanced stages, it seems like, of a deal.
Yeah, this one really surprised me. I've got to be honest. Hato was widely expected to be with Ajax at least another year to really cement himself as someone that was excelling in the Eredivisie, but also on the Champions League stage this season it would have been, with Ajax coming back into that competition. So, yeah, it definitely comes as a surprise. I thought for his own development, getting into the Netherlands World Cup squad next summer, this would have been a really wise move to stay at Ajax. So, whilst it remains to be seen, it is certainly true that there is movement going on here. And yeah, I would expect now maybe he does move. Ajax can profit from his sale and they can use his money elsewhere in the squad because they're desperate for some money as well.
In terms of importance to Ajax, because I think some people have been quite shocked, including myself, just seeing reporting of a potential fee, maybe being a little bit lower than we anticipated, because it seems like to Ajax, he is quite an important player. So can you describe sort of importance in that current first team, despite being a young player?
Yeah, so he's only 19. Ajax, quite famously, I think, to lots of English football fans, they had a season where they really struggled, not last season, but the season before. And they were bottom of the table around November. It was hilarious to a lot of the fans in the Netherlands who deem Ajax like the Man United of the Netherlands, if you like. So they had a slow but climb back up the table where they ended up, I think, was fifth in the end. Hato was a big part of that season, despite being what would have been 17 at the time. He played at centre back and left back in that side that really struggled, but he was one of those few leading lights within that side. You could see how young he was, how raw he was. So it really took on. He took off last season when he played under Francesco Farioli, very defensive-minded Italian coach who was fantastic in the Eredivisie. You only got to enjoy 1 year of him in that competition. He's gone off to Porto now, that manager Farioli, so keep your eyes out for him. He's fantastic. He really helped Hato. He cemented him as more like a left-back rather than a centre-back, but he certainly can play both. I would expect Hato to play the most of his career at left-back, but he's more defensively minded than, say, some of the players you see where they're mainly wing-backs. That's not Hato at all. But he has worked on several elements of his game. I think what he's always had is that natural athleticism to his game. He's a very good tackler, good defender on the ball, but he's been able to add more parts to his game, more of the attacking parts that he wasn't so strong at before, and just overall becoming a strong defender under Farioli last season, playing in the Eredivisie and the Europa League. Of course, Ajax nearly won the title last season, but for a last-minute collapse. 9 points ahead, 5 games to go, I think it was. And yeah, they crumbled last minute. So he was part of a side that was very defensively strong.
Yeah, that is a brutal turnaround, especially late on going for a title. One of the things that, like, Chelsea have obviously targeted a lot of young players, particularly ones with the accusation is not a ton of experience, and they come to Chelsea under a lot of scrutiny, and they can't really develop that much. I mean, just looking at from kind of an overview, kind of a, I guess, more of a casual view of him, is despite being a young player, as you've just described, I mean, Ajax, of course, are a massive European and Dutch club. He seems to have gained not just senior minutes for club, but also for his nation as well. So is there a maturity despite being as young as he is?
There certainly is, but I just want to throw doubt as to why he's making this move now. I'll say it again. I say it again as I said it already, and I don't think this is the right move for him now. I think another year it would have been just right. I'm confused as to why he's making this move, unless somehow he's been guaranteed lots of minutes at Chelsea. I mean, you said to me off air that you need another left back, and him coming in, he might well get minutes playing 2 games a week. Chelsea, that he'll get opportunities. What I wouldn't want to see is him being stockpiled in the players that Chelsea have now. It's quite widely known to the fans of other football clubs that Chelsea stockpile players and then send them out on loan. They sell them again after. What is their plan with Hato, and what does he think the plan is for himself? I said already he want to get into the World Cup squad next summer. So how does this help him? He's shown maturity on the pitch and growing his game, but I can't stand why he's making this move now when surely a really good season with Ajax earns him that move in a year's time. The money aspect, absolutely get. Chelsea are world champions. They're now in the Champions League. So many great reasons to go for Chelsea. I get that. But I just don't know why he's now grabbing this opportunity when he could wait.
No, I absolutely understand that, right? In terms, especially for if you want to play first team minutes week in and week out. I think the one thing I would say is that for most Chelsea fans, I think the left back depth area has been one of the big concerns this summer. And I think what probably helps him is, as you've already described, and I think it's good to get into in terms of the style of player he is, of an ability to play at centre-back as well, because under Maresca, Chelsea have become quite a fluid team, especially we saw it in the Club World Cup where they shift in and out of possession to sometimes 3 at the back, 4 at the back. Yeah. Cucurella himself is sometimes asked, as he was against PSG, to play as a left centre-back. So I think there is some logic behind him coming in and fulfilling kind of several roles potentially, not just, he has to play as a left back and that's all we can do. So can you just describe, as I said, that sort of dual ability of him as quite a defensive-minded player who, especially in the modern game, and I think from Maresca, can kind of be a bit of a Swiss Army knife player dependent on the situation? Yeah,
let me talk him up a little bit, because I think that flexibility, versatility is going to be very helpful for Chelsea in what you've just described. He can absolutely play as a straight left back in a back four. That's probably his best position at the moment. But I would wholeheartedly agree that a left-sided centre-back in a 3 would suit him too. It's something that is becoming slightly more common now in Dutch football, where that centre-back can also play at full-back and play as that side in that back 3. For him, that would work. I think he could also play centre-back there too, next to maybe someone who's a bit more physical. Not say that he can't win headers in the air. He absolutely can. He can do that. But he's coming from the Eredivisie, which is, that's commonly accused as one of the league's weaknesses, aerial duels. Whereas he can do that. He can play really well on the floor. I think it's quite alike to Jurgen Timber, who's obviously come from the Ajax as well, and has come and had some great success with Arsenal. More to come as well from Timber. But Hato's quite physical with that. The way he likes to defend with that style, one-on-one defending, and can see him doing well with that side of it. That versatility, it could be a big asset to Chelsea.
Do you think that slight limit, though, is on the attacking side? Because, as you've already sort of mentioned, that Cucurella does have that ability to venture forward. He scored a lot of important goals for Chelsea in the second half of last season. But I don't know whether that's why Maresca wants him, because maybe you could play both Cucurella and Hato in the same 11. You maybe could. But is that something that you feel like he would need to work on potentially, or is that something that maybe he's a little bit too adventurous, and this is where he is? He's a more defensive-minded player.
Yeah, he is a more defensive-minded player. He has played more as a left-back the past season and a bit from my recollection, but he only played left wing-back once from what I can remember, and that was it was quite a failed experiment when Ajax tried to line with 5 at the back. In that season they struggled in, and he played left wing back that day, more because of necessity, not because that's where they saw him long term. Yeah, it just looked really awkward. It's not the position for him. I would be shocked if he ends up becoming a success as a left wing back. But I think there's a lot to like about his game, and he has got attacking elements to it. He just isn't, while I said he was quick, he's not someone that's like an overlapping fullback. He would do things from deep. He's not an especially good crosser of the ball. But what I will say is that when Ajax have free kicks and corners, like, he is a threat in the penalty area from those kinds of situations, and scored, from what I can remember anyway, like a really important goal against Feyenoord last season from that situation. So yeah, he's got parts of his game that he can use to his benefit attacking wise, but yeah, he's not a marauding wing back.
In terms of his aggression, that's something that from an interest of like trying to find someone who, could be in there at times when Cucurella is either being rotated, injured,
Yeah.
suspended, is Cucurella's aggression, particularly off the ball, and how aggressive he is against wingers. Like that's, I think, one of his best attributes. Is that a part of his defensive kind of profile and style that can you see that being something that really comes to the fore at Chelsea?
I can. And it's kind of what I was alluding to with that physicality, athleticism, with his one-on-one defending. I think that's where you can get the best out of him. I like how solid he is defensively, but whilst he also isn't, if you know what I mean, like an out-and-out centre back, I think that kind of suits him. That he can be athletic out wide, and that's where you get
Yeah.
the best out of him there. But I think just speaking about the Netherlands. He has 11 caps for Netherlands. He is a good defender, but has been criticised a little when playing at international level. So that's where the doubts are for him. That's why I said he should just play another year at Ajax to get the Champions League experience, because then he might grow into being someone that can be as useful at international level, high standard that it is. In the 11 caps I've seen of him, he's had a couple of really good games, but also some where you're like, we actually have better options at left back, even though it's a position where we're crying out for, like, I don't know, a number one choice left back. The Netherlands have two brilliant right backs, Dumfries, Frimpong, whereas on the left side, we're like, okay, we've got Hartman who plays for Burnley. We've got Martin who's in and out of the Villa team. We've got Ake who's predominantly a centre back, but he's very good at left back. So there's like a position there that could be made someone's. And I think if he did that at Chelsea, for example, if that's a style you choose to play, then yeah, he could earn that position and grow into that international level.
In terms of trajectories, it's funny you mentioned Martin, because obviously he was once part of Chelsea's academy. There was maybe a hope that he could develop into a first team player. I think it was under Pochettino it kind of all went wrong, and he was sold to Aston Villa, I think, last summer. In terms of levels for Hato, where can you see, if let's as a Chelsea fan, and as Chelsea fans watching and listening to this will want to do a best case scenario of like where he could elevate his game to. Do you see a real like level where he could become a senior kind of regular starter for Chelsea?
Yeah, I'm going to say that and say why not? Because we have such high hopes for Hato. For years on Football and Anya, our podcast, we've been raving about him and saying like, oh, he's the best talent to come from the Netherlands, and he will no doubt become an Ajax regular and then go on to do great things again, move clubs. So we have said all these things about him because we think he's that good. It's just a question of, can he now get the minutes to really develop that again still at Chelsea? If the answer is yes, if he's guided under a fabulous coach, then he can be. Of course he can be. Speaking about Martin, I'm also an Aston Villa fan as well as a Netherlands fan, and really gunning for him this season, playing at left back more regularly. He is obviously a different style of player to Hato, and he's like far more attacking, rip roaring, speed, and ability on the ball. Whereas can Hato get those minutes and prove people wrong and go different path to Martin and break into a Chelsea side? Yeah, then good luck to him. I hope that does happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think with the nature of the calendar and the Club World Cup that's just happened,
Yeah.
I think there is a belief that rotation is going to have to be a big part of Chelsea's season. So, and with injuries and suspensions and the way I think Maresca likes to kind of change players and put them into different roles, I do think that's probably, if we just bought a straight left back who can only play left back, I think I would share the concern that maybe it becomes a bit of a bottleneck situation where like his development gets completely stalled, but at least there's some ability for him to shift into positions. Just sneakily, one question. I know we brought you on to speak about Hato, but there is another Dutch player that Chelsea look like they could be signing, and obviously from a Dutch perspective, well, from an England perspective, we obviously saw him score an incredible goal against England at the Euros. Just quickly about Xavi Simons, because I another Dutch player who of course has a lot of admirers, could be making a move to Stamford Bridge.
Yeah, Simons, what do I feel about him? Oh, he's really exciting, but I just don't know what it is. There's something missing in his game. I can't put my finger on it exactly, but I think what he has struggled with from a Netherlands point of view, having seen him play more international level than club level since he left PSV, was, is he a 10 or is he a right winger? Where is he best? On the right wing, he did score that goal for the Netherlands against England. as far as I can remember. But I think most of his games have come from that right side for the Netherlands. And for a long time, he didn't score a goal, despite all of his caps. Didn't score a goal. Obviously scored a great one there. But his goal contributions are not enough for someone that plays this high up the pitch. He is, as you can see, quite diminutive, quite small, not a strong player, does go down easily, but is so technically brilliant and can bring others into play. He's got so many bits of his game that are top-notch, top class, but then other bits where it's left us as Netherlands fans wanting him to be replaced, come out the side, maybe just being a kind of impact player and not being a starter. But I think, if he can make his game more well-rounded, have more of an impact every game like he can, it's consistency, isn't it? And then he comes into the side and he's an undisputed number 10 for the side. But he's not a winger. I suppose the only way it would work is if Frimpong was playing right wing back. Simons can use him on that side. Yeah, he's kind of like in between player, someone that can turn it on, can be brilliant. But other times you're like, just get him out the side, need somebody else there. Just someone more direct like a Daniel Marlin, who isn't playing that much for Villa at the moment. He's an interesting one. I'd say I'd have more confidence in Hato being a success for you than Simons.
Yeah, I'd say just on that, I think Hato's more crucial to Chelsea's squad building than Simons. Because the argument would be that, he can come in and I could see why Xavi Simons could become a big player for Chelsea, but body-wise, we've got players who can play in his position already. If we don't sign him, it's not the end of the world. It's not like there's no one else who could fulfill that role. But I know that he's got many admirers, but I do agree with you on sort of what Hato's ability and kind of impact for Maresca depth-wise could be is, I think, more significant, really. So it's just interesting to get that perspective, because obviously from a we could have a double Dutch at Stamford Bridge in the next couple of weeks if both turn up and seeing how both could do. But thank you so much, Michael, for taking the time to speak to us today. Just quickly, a chance for you to shout out where people can find your work about the Eredivisie and Dutch football online.
Yeah, so we're the number one English language outlet of Dutch football. We are Football Oranje. You can spell that as football, and then orange, but replace the G with a J. We've got a website, got a YouTube channel, got a podcast, all in English about the league, but also the national team. National team's our main draw, but we cannot wait to do a league season preview very shortly for the Eredivisie. Yeah, come check us out.
Absolutely. As always with guests, all the links will be down in the description box below on YouTube and also on the podcast notes, so go and check that out. So thank you so much, guys, for watching, for listening. As we'll see, whether Hato officially becomes a Chelsea player, Simons and the rest of the transfer stuff as we head towards the start of the Premier League season on Son of Chelsea. Thank you again, and I'll see you all very, very soon. All the best.